Guys, Angus here. Got another Airsoft video for you guys. Today we've got a product review, and the item we're going to be taking a look at is the one set before us. Today we've got the video review of the Element Red/Green Dot Holosight replica. I believe this is a replica of the EOTech 552 holographic sight, and overall, I was actually quite pleased with it and happy to get this in. If you're interested in purchasing it, there'll be a link down below in the description to the website tiger111hk.com, where you could originally purchase this for about $50. Strangely, it's no longer on their site. However, there's still plenty of other site replicas. If you're interested in taking a look at anything, please go ahead and click on the link in the description. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the review. Let's start off the review by briefly going over the packaging that your sight will come in. As you can obviously tell, this is the box that your 552 replica will come in. It's just a cardboard box decorated with the Element logo and also a sticker emphasizing this is indeed the 552 replica. When you pop open this box, you'll see the 552 replica packaged rather nicely inside some thick black styrofoamy material. Definitely not going to be damaged during shipping here. And now at last, we've got the optic out of the box, which is really what you guys care about. Now in all honesty, seeing as how I was getting this overseas, I was kind of expecting something a little cheapy, maybe a cheap replica sight that just looked cool on top of the gun. But I have to say, out of the box, I really did like it a lot. Construction-wise, it's mainly made of metal. There are only two real plastic pieces on the sight, which I'll cover later in the review. But the main metal pieces on here would be your main hood or shroud, as I personally would call it. All the screws holding the sight together are metal as well as the main one to screw it onto the rail of your gun. In case you're wondering, this will fit really any Airsoft AEG with a 20mm rail up top. So that's rather nice, pretty much universal as far as fitting certain guns. So externally, mainly metal, like I said, those two plastic parts, which we'll cover briefly. So overall, it's a nice quality sight externally. Obviously, the cheapest piece on here is going to be your lens, and I say cheap, not necessarily meaning like it's not good quality, but it's obviously the one that is most likely to break. I wouldn't recommend you try and shoot this thing up close if you're taking this into CQB, which might be more so what it's designed for. I would be willing to bet that if a BB came into contact with the lens, it would shatter. So just be careful with that. That obviously is the most fragile piece on any sight, including this replica here. Let's zoom in on the left side. Alright, so went ahead, zoomed in on the left side of the sight, and here you see two main dials. These are used for sighting in the sight. The one up front here, closest to what's actually the back of the sight towards the shooter, that controls whether you want to move the reticle up or down. Whichever, just turn it with a flathead screwdriver. Same thing for the one behind that. This one controls whether the reticle goes to the left or right. Exact same mechanism. Just take a flathead screwdriver, turn it in order to sight it in with your gun. From this angle, we also get a much better view of the main plastic piece on this gun, and that would be your battery cover on the back of the sight. And it's here that your batteries are stored, obviously. In order to access your battery compartment, the first thing you want to do is flip up the sort of metal pin here, and when that's done, as you can obviously tell, the battery piece comes undone. And what I really like about this sight more than anything, doesn't take cheap watch batteries you get to search all over for, just takes your common AA batteries. And to me, that's awesome. This is much easier to change the batteries in the field. If you're in a long op, your batteries die, but you really want that sight, just go ahead, switch them out. Plus, AA's are a lot easier to carry on your person, a lot easier to find, and not hard to lose like the watch batteries if you wanted to bring them into a game. Once you've gone ahead and popped your batteries in there, it's just a simple reversing of the process. You'd slide these inward like so, and then lock them into place simply by pressing downward in the middle piece. So I really do like the easy battery swap and the easy compatibility with batteries, AA's in this case. The right side of the sight isn't exactly too special. The only things you really have here are your main screw for fastening this onto your gun's rail, and you also have some nice kind of painted words on there. They aren't necessarily trademarks. One of the cons of this thing, you don't get any official EOTech trades, obviously, but you do get written on the right side of the hood there in bright white letters for law enforcement / military use only. I also get a caution sticker there that says laser radiation, don't look directly into. These are obviously just for a little bit of fun on there, a little bit more realism. They look kind of cool, but as I know with these white painted on words, after a while playing with this in the weather, those will fade off. So they look nice now, but probably won't last an amazingly long time. Now flipping the sight around, we come to the side which would actually be facing the shooter in the game. Now this is obviously where you'd look through your lens to see your reticle, which we'll try to take a look at in just a second, but the main piece I want to point out here is your control panel, as I would call it. This is the other plastic piece. It's not made of a cheap plastic like the battery cover that is of a cheaper plastic, but I didn't mention that earlier. This is more of a harder, more durable polymer, and the buttons on there, those are coated in rubber, so they feel pretty nice when you push them with your fingers, but not necessarily something we need to focus on. The mechanisms here are very, very simple. You have your on switch, which is actually the up arrow there. This works fine, turns the sight on. Now the off switch on here, which I believe is supposed to be either the center or the down switch, I've tried all buttons to turn it off, doesn't seem to work. What I actually have to do is flip up on the pin in the back and therefore separate the batteries so that it turns off. Not necessarily a big deal in my opinion, because in my personal opinion, again, it's just as easy to do that as push an off button, but might not be the best thing for some of you who want everything to work perfectly. The buttons on here, like I said, on, off. You also have the big center here, which would change the dot from green to red, and the up and down arrows control the brightness. Obviously you want to raise the brightness with the up arrow for a brighter day outside, and lower the brightness if you're indoor where it's dark and you can already see the sight rather well. Alright, now the reticle here is very hard to see clearly. It just appears as a bright green dot. In reality, it would be sort of a crosshair setting there, but as you can see, bright green dot in this case, just to show you the brightness, that's the brightest setting, and if I were to lower it a little bit, it would decrease slightly in the brightness. Also, go ahead and change it to red if I wanted to by pushing that center button. I personally prefer the green actually on that sight. Sorry it's not the best detail, but hey, it looks kind of nice at least. Alright, and with that going ahead and being shown, just want to wrap up the video by basically showing you what the EOTech Replica looks like on a gun. In this case, my Tokyo Marui MP7A1. This is one of those guns that the EOTech really does complete the look, in my opinion. Another weapon I also thought it looked rather nice on was my G&G Armament F2000. Overall, I thought this replica was actually quite a bit better than what I was expecting. Like I said earlier, thought I was going to get a cheap piece of plastic that just looked cool on top of the gun. But after actually testing this in a game, I can tell you it's durable. It takes a beating. I tend to do a lot of diving and crawling in games. The sight held up rather well. I really like the battery compatibility and how easy it is to switch out the batteries. Also, I thought it actually sighted in rather well and helped become accurate to the gun after I got it sighted in rather well. Reticle bright, easy to see. Sorry you guys, the detail wasn't too great on the camera, but it is a nice sight. The only complaint I had with it was that the off switch didn't exactly work on the front. Minor con, but hey, some people might care about that. Another thing, this is a bulky sight. I always was kind of looking forward to getting an EOTech because I never tried one out before, but in all honesty, it's not my favorite sight. It's a little too bulky. It looks nice on the MP7, but there are certain guns that it just does not look right on, a little too bulky. If you're somebody who wants to set up a pretty cool loadout and have a nice sight on it, this is a good replica. $50 overseas. Like I said, Tiger 111HK. Don't know if they still have it. Wasn't able to find it, but I imagine there's plenty of other sites in the US, overseas, that'll sell these nice replicas. So with that being said, guys, this has been Deathcore Airsoft's review of the Element 552 Replica Holosight. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe.